whenever cell damage happens, these microorganisms have the ability to change roles. We change roles. We change roles all through life. And we change roles according to the environment. When I left home, it was very, very cold and there was frost on the ground. I live halfway down Australia, so in the summer it's hot and in the winter it's cold. Top of Australia, no winter. It's always hot. Down the bottom of Australia, a lot colder. Similar to America, but the other way around because we're on the southern part of the hemisphere. So when I left home, I had my boots on, I had my woolen stockings, I had a thick skirt, and I had my possum and wool jumper on. You call it a sweater, is that right? Now that outfit is staying at my daughter's house because I will not need it here, will I? You see, we all change roles according to the environment. I'm not dressed now the way I was dressed running up hills this morning. I'm not dressed now the way I was dressed in bed sleeping last night. I'm not dressed now the way I'm dressed if I'm digging in the garden. We change roles, so do the microbes. So whenever cell damage happens, these microbes change roles. They now become the cleanup team, or as one microbiologist said to me, he said, we call it the garbage collectors. That's what it is, that's what it does. They're garbage collectors. Their name is bacteria. That's what bacteria is, that's what it does. It's the cleanup team. And the more damage, the more waste, the more bacteria, is that right? Florence Nightingale, very famous nurse. She was asked to go to Scutari in 1854 because the hospital in Scutari, its death rate for the soldiers that went there was 50%. Now the soldiers were coming from Crimea, where the Crimean War was happening. The British and the French were fighting the Russians. The wounded were put in boats and they were put on the Black Sea and they sailed down to Scutari, where the hospital was. Now, a journalist went to the hospital to report on the war effort. He was shocked at what he found. So he went back to England and he wrote an article in the newspaper, headlines, "Did we raise our young men to rot like this?" Well, the British government quickly rose up, got Florence and 35 nurses to go to that hospital to see what they could do, or what she could do. When she arrived, she was shocked at the conditions. Raw sewage was in the corridors. She found a man who was still in his battle clothes 2 weeks after he'd been admitted. The doctors were not washing their hands between operations. They thought our hands are already covered in blood. They're just going to be covered in blood with the next one. Florence Nightingale immediately telegrammed London. She said, you need to set up a sanitary commission to come and assess this situation. There's a crisis here. She also telegrammed her father, who was a very wealthy Englishman. She said, I need a shipload of clean linen, clean bandages, clean mattresses. She said, scrubbing brush and a cook. You cannot heal without nourishment. And the food was big vats of water with bits of rotten meat in it. In fact, I'm shocked that the death rate wasn't 80%.